Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the two events that happened in Mexico this past weekend. You're going to have a C tier event in Hooters Universidad Smash Ultimate 7 p.m. I know, very long title, and a B tier event in the Hex of Sorcerer Volume X. And the reason that we're going to be talking about both these events is because MKLEO made his first appearance in them since Delfino Maza. So realistically, it's only been a month. It hasn't been that long, but I know I've been missing some good MKLEO gameplay. We're going to be going over how he did these events as well as just how they unfolded in general. So let's start with the Hooters event because it was the smaller of the two. In 7th place, you're going to have Mancha and Gilhu. 5th place, Zach and Superdog. 4th place was actually MKLEO. We'll get to that in just a second. 3rd place was Mao. 2nd place was Chag. And winning the entire thing, you had Javi. Now, some pretty big upsets to this event. The biggest one is obviously going to be Superdog over MKLEO. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is MKLEO's worst loss in Smash Ultimate at a ranked event. It could still be to TKM, and Superdog is by no means a bad player, but this is, of course, to MKLEO's standard where he doesn't really lose to people unless they're top 30 in the world. So this is obviously a massive upset for Superdog. For anyone curious about the matchup, it was Mario Byleth, and considering that Leo has beaten Karama with Byleth on multiple different periods, it just really shows how amazing Superdog was playing in this event. As I already mentioned, he ended up getting 5th place, a really spectacular run from him, only losing to the player that ended up getting 3rd place in Mao and the player that ended up winning the event in Javi. Also, really quickly, before we talk about the main thing of this event, which is obviously going to be Leo out at 4th, I have to mention Zach as well. I was really impressed by his run. He was able to get a win over Nair and MK Big Boss, who was the 2nd seed of the event. Zach, I believe, was the 10th seed, so big ups to him for that. Sephiroth is a character that I do not think very highly of. He's just so insanely hard. You have to be super precise with pretty much every single move that you throw out, but when you're playing him well, he can be extremely difficult to do this, and Zach, he looked really incredible at this event, so big ups to him for the run. So let's finally talk about that Leo run. Ends up getting 4th place. I already mentioned how Superdog beat him in the winner's side, and Javi ends up beating him in the loser's side. And we'll get to Javi's run in just a second. He was still able to pick up wins on Chick, Mancha, and Zach, and he was playing pretty much solo Joker at this tournament. The only sets where he didn't play Joker were in the 2 sets that he lost versus Superdog and Javi. Javi, he pulled out the Byleth in Game 4, though. Editing proof block here really quickly. The only game that Joker was played versus Javi was in the first one, so the rest of it was all Byleth. And honestly, I really like this choice from Leo because considering that he has a lot of time off, it's not like there's any big events that he really has to prep for, and he's probably not playing a ton of Smash Ultimate, but when he's playing Ultimate, I would highly recommend that he is playing the Joker because that's a character that you can actually practice a lot of stuff for. There's no real reason to go into the lab with Byleth for 3 hours and practice up B combos. Like, you're gonna have those down. With Joker, though, there's a ton of stuff that you can constantly be improving at and constantly getting better at. Even if you're not gonna go to tournament for 2 months, it's still really nice to maybe practice the Joker Infinite, so you're getting more consistent at that. Byleth and Aegis are characters that, yes, they do have tech you can practice, but it's not on the level of Joker. So even if Leo's practicing like an hour, even just like a week, he does not need to be putting that much time in. If he's putting that time in Joker, I think he's going to get a large return out of it, even if he's not immediately playing. And I'll write off the Hooters tournament as a bit of a warm-up. You know, he hasn't competed in a little bit, because as you can see at his next event, he looked way better. But before we talk about our next event, we got to talk about the winner, Javi, because this guy flexed on everyone insanely hard for no real reason. He DQ'd round 1, so he didn't actually lose a set this entire tournament. He DQ'd and won 13 sets in a row, including wins over players like MK Big Boss, Gilhu, Superdog, MKLEO, Mao, and 2 wins over Chag, and he did this playing a handful of characters. His main character was definitely going to be Roy, including the win over MKLEO was solo Roy, so that's definitely the character putting in the most work, but in the grand finals, he used Cloud. Whenever Chag would pick Bayonetta, he would pick the Cloud, had a lot of very good usage there. He used Lucina versus Gilhu in a Game 5 set, and he also brought out the Zelda versus X-Lone, but he probably could have beat him with Roy, considering that the next set he beat MK Big Boss with Roy, and X-Lone is also going to be on the Raw. But yeah, insane run from Javi. I mean, again, he DQ'd round 1. Just the biggest flex you could ever have. Maybe he was trying to impress someone at the venue. I don't know. It is the Hooters event after all, but he was not getting nearly enough credit for this run. Simply incredible, and just massive props to him. And our next event is going to be the Hex of Sorcerer Volume X. For our top 8, you're going to have Chag and Gilhu in 7th, Leaf and Skyjay in 5th, Bonilla in 4th, Javi in 3rd, Meister in 2nd, and Leo, freshly de-rusted, was able to bring this thing home. And this was the biggest event of the weekend, coming in at a B tier. And I, again, have to highlight this run from Javi. He also played Wolf at this tournament, though it didn't really matter in any of the sets that he played in, kind of like the Zelda, so I don't super count it, but just shows his character lineup is that deep. He was able to get wins on Zach, Chag, and Skyjay. So that's another win on Chag this weekend. I think he has 3 in total, as well as beating another Lumi ranked player in Skyjay. And Skyjay is on the higher end of the Lumi rank as well. So overall, this was an insane weekend for Javi. He's proving that he is one of Mexico's hidden talents, and we didn't really see him super pop off at either Smash Factor or Delfino Maza. And those are the Mexican players that are getting a lot of conversation right now because those are the people that are super aware. But Mexico, the talent pool runs super deep, and Javi is just showing how much hidden talent there really is. Another player that I want to talk about is going to be Bonilla. He super popped off this weekend with a run to 4th place using a combination of mainly Rob and Ike, which is such a strange combination. Like, I get the Rob there, but I don't know what bad matchups Ike is covering for Rob, maybe Game & Watch, but clearly it was working out for Bonilla. He went Game 5 with Leaf, both the Ike and a Rob taking a game there. Did end up losing that though and sent to the loser side, where he would 3-0 bet with the solo Ike. 3-1 Arkle. He ended up using Ike in games 2 and 1. One game 1, lost game 2, and used Rob for the final 2 games. Versus Law, he went Ike in the first 2 games, ended up winning one of those and losing one of those. And Law also went Crom in the first 2 games. I don't know what the story is there, but everyone in Mexico's got secondary characters nowadays, I guess. And then the final 3 games were going to be Rob versus Luigi, and Bonilla managed to close that one out. Versus Gilhue, he was able to win that set 3-1 solo Rob. And versus Skyjay, he was able to win that game 5 solo Rob as well, which is, again, super impressive. Able to be a Lumi ranked player, so you got to be feeling super good about that. Was able to take Meister to game 5 as well. Tried the Ike game 1. Didn't end up working out, and you know he's not going to go to the Rob because that matchup is awful. So he actually busted out the Sora, which was able to take 2 games, but unfortunately was not enough, and he ended up placing at 4th, which is an incredible run. Again, really strange character combination, but it ended up working super well at this tournament. So huge shouts to Bonilla for being the highest placing Rob of the event. Another player that I just forgot to mention before we do get to our grand finalists is going to be Gilhue. He ended up getting 7th place at both events. At Hooters, he was able to beat Sir Giorgio, and at the Hex of Sorcerer Volume X, he was able to beat both Mar and Zach. And the consistency that this guy has with Kirby of all characters is absolutely insane to me. Now, don't get me wrong, he does have a Greninja secondary, but 90% of the work, if not more, is being put in with the Kirby, and he just really does not get bad results. Even at the big Mexican major events, he placed some pretty nice placements, and he, I would argue, is the best Kirby in the world right now. There's also an argument for Zeja, who's also been doing pretty well. Both the players are having similar peaks, both getting 2nd place at a C tier, but Gilhue is a player that has never traveled outside of Mexico, at least from what I can find, so I would really love to see this guy against some international talent, because Kirby, even though he's a bad character, not a character that you come across every single day, and Gilhue could definitely catch some people off guard. This guy is ludicrous. And our grand finalists are going to be Meister and MKLEO. Meister is also a player that we haven't seen at the major level since Delfino Maza, and then his last big event was going to be the Hooters event, the first rendition of it. I believe that was actually his last event, so it's been about a month since we've seen Meister, and he is obviously a very strong comeback here with wins on Bet, Sir Giorgio, Gilhue, Leaf, Bonilla, and Javi, only losing to MKLEO in the winter semifinals, Game 5, and in the grand finals, Game 4, all of those games being Joker Game & Watch. And Meister's a player that does not get nearly enough credit. If I had to guess why, it'd be number 1 is because he's playing Game Watch, and people love to discredit Game Watch. And fair enough, this character is insanely stupid and really, really easy, but Meister is still incredibly good with him, and it does take a lot with any character at the top level to get consistent results, which Meister does have. Also, I feel like Mia's taken a little bit of a spotlight as that number 1 Game Watch, but Meister is still a top 20 caliber player, and I think when he does come back to competition, he is going to be one of the front runners in this game, because yes, Game & Watch is broken, and Meister has been doing it since Smash 4. He earned that title, you know, that character got super buffed going into this game, and Meister, out of every single player that plays Game & Watch in the world, deserves it the most, so really nice to see him back in competition. But our big winner is going to be, of course, the reason that you probably clicked on this video, MKLEO. He was able to get wins on Mancha, Law, Meister, Javi, and Meister. Again, only dropping games to Meister in the winter semifinals and in the grand finals, and went Game 5 with Law. Shouts to Law as well. Usually when we're talking about Mexican Luigi players, we're going to highlight Waka, but Law, incredibly talented player who ended up getting 9th place here, so big ups to him for that. And MKLEO, solo Joker at this tournament, except versus Javi in the winners finals, where he brought out the Aegis Game 3 just to flex. That was a 3-0, by the way, so he was just saying, yeah, you might have beat me at the Hooters event, but I'm still a better player. I'll beat you with a multitude of characters. That's not going to happen again. And as I kind of already touched on earlier in the video, I think MKLEO playing Joker right now is really smart. That is a character that you need to invest a lot of time into, whereas practicing Aegis and Byleth isn't going to pay off a ton if you don't don't have any events to go to, so putting in the reps with Joker, practicing him in tournament, maybe trying the new stuff that you've been working on, really smart by MKLEO. And also, the sets versus him and Meister were really hyped to see, just two top-level players battling it out. I will say, would have been really interesting to see him play SkyJ since he can get that run back from Delfino Mazza, and SkyJ was the first seed coming into this event, but I think that was a little bit more just for drama and a mix of who players are playing. But MKLEO, second seed, ends up winning the event anyway, pretty much an underdog story, and I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Links will be down below if you want to see the VODs in case you missed out on them, because, like, what can I say? It's nice to see that MKLEO Joker at the top. If I missed out on anything I got wrong, or if you just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. The support has been absolutely unreal as of late, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!